Chapter 1141. Ning Ji fled dozens of miles in one breath, and then dared to stop. Panting heavily, Ning Ji's chest was still aching. Just in order to escape, Ning Ji took David's palm abruptly. "David, we are not finished, I must make you pay the price." Ning Ji's face was full of anger. But thinking of David's luminous bead at the end, Ning Ji was envious. He didn't know what magic weapon it was, but it was so powerful. How many secrets does this David have? Ning Ji frowned tightly. After resting for a while, Ning Ji quickly left again. He was afraid that David would catch up. A road of dozens of miles may be far away for ordinary people. But for them, it's only a matter of time. And at this moment, David has already entered the Demon Suppression Pagoda to practice. He had no interest in chasing Ning Ji and wasting his precious time. Mobei, Luo family. Luo Xiang closed his eyes slightly and was still basking in the sun, but at this moment, he was thinking of other things. Luoju, why did Ning Ji travel thousands of miles and go to Zishuan to practice? He even occupied Gu Kaiwan's manor. Luo Xiang asked the servant beside him. After he returned from Zishuan, he had been thinking about this matter. Gu Kaiwan died, and Ning Ji would never be kind enough to repair the manor for Gu Kaiwan's family. As for what Ning Ji said about the beautiful environment of Zishuan, it was pure art. Luo Xiang didn't believe it at all. What kind of environment does the barren place in Zishuan have? Master, I always feel that there is something wrong with the tower in the Gu family manor. In the huge manor, all the buildings have been rebuilt, but the tower is still very old. Maybe this Ning Ji came to the tower. As for the purpose of the tower, I don't know. Luo Ju explained carefully. Yes, I also thought of it here. I also suspect that there is something wrong with the tower. I have been to Gujia Manor several times, and I have never seen that tower before. It seems to be a very old building. I also asked Gu Kaiwan at the time, why there is such an old building in the manor. Gu Kaiwan just said that it is their Gu family ancestral hall, so it can't be demolished if it is old. Now it seems that the old building is just a cover. It must be the tower wrapped in it, and the tower must have some secrets. Luo Xiang stood up abruptly, and his eyes shone brightly. Call the staff immediately, and I'm going to Zishuan once with me. Luo Xiang wants to go to Zishuan again to find out the secret. This is his territory. If that tower really has a secret, he will never let Ning Ji succeed. Although the Ning family is a wealthy family in Kyoto, this is not the capital, and the Ning family can't reach here. Just when Luoju was about to assemble the manpower, suddenly a servant came hurriedly, and then reported to Loxia, eldest young master, there is someone outside the yard begging to see you. See me? Luo Xiang was taken aback. Who is that? He said he was Ning Ji from the Ning family in Jingjing, and he came here to see the eldest young master, but he seems to be injured. The next man replied. Ning Ji. Luo Xiang was a little surprised, then waved his hand. Invite him to the hall, I'll be there later. After the next person left, Luo Ju immediately stepped forward. Eldest young master, is there any intention for Ning Ji to come here suddenly? Let's take a look and then talk about it. This is the Luo family. Even if he has some little juju, what can he do to me? After Luo Xiang finished speaking, he walked towards the hall. At this time, Ning Ji was sitting in the hall drinking tea, and his face was very ugly. The body was injured. Ning Ji ran here with one breath. He did not return to the capital. He wanted to use the Luo family to get rid of David. Chapter 1142. Although I don't know what kind of hatred Luo Xiang has with David, when they met for the first time, Luo Xiang took himself as David, and the two must have had a festival. How did Ning Ji know that Luo Xiang had no hatred with David, and the reason why Luo Xiang wanted to fight David was just his vanity? When Luo Xiang appeared in the hall, Ning Ji hurriedly put down the tea and stood up. Master Luo. Ning Ji greeted Luo Xiang very politely. It turned out to be young Master Ning. I don't know what young Master Ning is doing here in my little Luo family. It looks like you are injured. Luo Xiang looked at Ning Ji with a playful face. In the barren land of Zishuan, does anyone dare to be rude to you, young Master Ning? For Luo Xiang's ridicule, Ning Ji didn't take it to heart. As the saying goes, people have to bow their heads under the eaves. Master Luo, aren't you looking for David? I'm here to tell you about David's whereabouts. Ning Ji said lightly. Oh, so the injury on your body was given by that David. But I have no grievances with David. It's useless for you to tell me his whereabouts, and I will not deal with David for you. Aren't you very arrogant? If you don't go home and call someone, why don't you seek revenge on David? Luo Xiang put his face in front of Ning Ji and continued to speak sarcastically. Ning Ji's expression changed slightly, but he quickly calmed down and said, Young Master Luo, I came to see you this time, not for you to help me deal with David. I have a secret I want to tell you, and this is definitely a great thing for your Luo family. When Luo Xiang heard this, his eyes narrowed slightly, and he stared at Ning Ji. What do you want to say, the secret of the tower of the Gu family manor? After Ning Ji heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then blurted out, How did you know? Ha ha ha, I wasn't sure just now, but now I can confirm that the tower in the Gu family manor really has a secret. Seeing Ning Ji's reaction, Luo Xiang laughed out loud. Ning Ji's expression froze. He knew that he had been tricked by Luo Xiang, and it turned out that Luo Xiang didn't know the secret of the Demon Town Tower. You're right, the tower in Gujia Manor does have a secret. I can now break through to the peak of Wuzong in a short period of time, and it's all thanks to that tower. Ning Ji nodded and said. Is that tower so amazing? What secrets are there? Luo Xiang asked curiously. Ning Ji looked around, but did not speak. Luo Xiang understood in an instant, so he ordered, everyone back down. Master, be careful of cheating. Luo Zhu reminded in Luo Xiang's ear. There's AF.art cheat, even if he is at his peak, he is not my opponent, not to mention that he is still injured now, you guys quit for me. Luo Xiang waved his hand impatiently. Soon, only Luo Xiang and Ning Ji were left in the hall. You can speak now. Luo Xiang asked indifferently. Ning Ji gritted his teeth, and finally told Luo Xiang all the secrets of the town demon tower. After Luo Xiang heard this, his eyes glowed. I didn't expect that there is such a good thing in the Gu family manor. I said how these years, Gu Kaiwan's strength has grown by leaps and bounds, and he even sat on the Northwest King. It turned out to be because of that tower. Luo Xiang licked his lips, and then said, Master Ning, thank you so much for telling me this. Don't worry, the tower of Gu's manor will belong to my Luo family in the future, and no one should think about it. Of course it also includes your Ning family. If you still want to occupy that tower, then you have to see if my Luo family agrees. Ning Ji was stunned for a moment, then frowned and said, Young Master Luo, aren't you going to deal with that David? What should I do with him? As long as he obediently gets out of Zishuan, why should I deal with him? And it's impossible for David to move the whole tower away. Luo Xiang laughed jokingly. Chapter 1143. Luo Xiang is not stupid, he knows that Ning Ji told him this just to let him deal with David. Since David can hurt Ning Ji, his strength is definitely not weak, and Luo Xiang will not be stupid enough to provoke a strong enemy to the Luo family for nothing. However, if he was on the ring, Luo Xiang really wanted to follow David for 2 moves. This time, Ning Ji was dumbfounded. He originally thought that if he told Luo Xiang the secret of the magic tower, Luo Xiang would help him deal with David. Now it seems that he is still naive. But then Ning Ji sneered, turned around and walked out. Since young Master Luo doesn't deal with David, then I will look for someone else. I believe that some people will be jealous of the dragon crystal on David's body, the storage ring, and the dragon sword. Especially the dragon crystal in his body, which is the fusion of two dragon crystals, which has already produced the power of the dragon. Ning's Hibian walked out and said. Wait a minute. Luo Xiang suddenly stopped Ning Ji. Is there anything else, Mr. Luo? Ning Ji turned around and asked. The things you just said are all owned by that David? And the dragon crystal you mentioned, can it really produce the power of a dragon? Luo Xiang asked in disbelief. Of course, if young Master Luo doesn't believe it, you can find a video of David's battle on the martial arts forum, and you can definitely see what I said. Ning Ji nodded and said firmly. Luo Xiang looked at Ning Ji, and finally said, okay, as long as David is still in Zishuan, it is absolutely impossible for him to leave. After Luo Xiang finished speaking, he directly greeted Luo Ju, and ordered, you take someone to the Zishuanggu family manor immediately, and keep the tower for me, and no one is allowed to enter, it will be my Luo family from now on. The place. If you encounter that David, it is best not to conflict with him, and I will arrive later. Luo Xiang was afraid that Luo Ju was not David's opponent, and he was frightening David away. If David left, it would be difficult to find him. Yes. Luo Ju nodded. Seeing this scene, Ning Ji smiled and left without saying anything. He knew that under the great temptation, no one could control it. After leaving Luo's house, there was a flash of coldness in Ning Ji's eyes. David, since I can't get it, I won't let you get it. I want everyone to be your enemy. Ning Ji sneered in his heart. Soon, an unsigned message appeared on the martial arts forum, saying that David had devoured the ice dragon and the flame dragon crystal, and the fusion of the two dragon crystals gave David the power of the dragon in his body. This news instantly exploded in the martial arts forum. There are ice dragons and flame dragons on Suolong Island. This legend is known to many people, and that Longjing can help with cultivation and improve his cultivation. This is also known by many people. It's just that this is a legend after all. In addition to the cultivation base that Longjing can improve, it is not particularly obvious. Even the benefits brought by a Longjing are not as good as a beast pill. So no one wants to take a disproportionate risk to get a dragon crystal. This is also the reason why Guo Wei was very disdainful of Longjing in David's body at that time. Now I know that the fusion of two dragon crystals can actually produce the power of the dragon, which makes many people regret it all at once. It's just that these people don't know that even if they really swallow the dragon crystal and fuse it, it will not produce the power of the dragon. This dragon crystal can only exert its strength in David's body. For a time, many people in the martial arts world began to pay attention to David, looking for David's whereabouts, intending to take the dragon crystal in David's body as their own. At this time, David was still immersed in his cultivation in the Demon Suppression Tower, and he didn't know anything about the events on the martial arts forum. Chapter 1144. The Barangu Family Manor. At this moment, several people are approaching rapidly. These people are the ones that Luo Ju of the Luo family brought people to investigate the situation. Looking at the Gu family manor without even the ruins in front of him, Luo Ju thought he had gone wrong. If it wasn't for the Demon Town Tower not far away, Luo Ju wouldn't know him at all. Yesterday it was fine here, and it looked like a busy construction. Today there is nothing, not even rubble, just powder on the ground. Luo Ju led people into the Gu family manor, and just as they stepped in, David, who had been cultivating in the Demon Town Tower, opened his eyes instantly. When David was cultivating, he had already arranged a formation around the Gu family manor. David was able to know immediately about all the intrusions. Otherwise, it is very dangerous to be immersed in cultivation and suddenly attacked by someone. A sense of consciousness dispersed, and David instantly found Luo Ju and the others who were approaching the Demon Town Tower. There are 5 people in total, all of them are Wuzong. Among them, Luo Ju is an existence that is close to the peak of Wuzong. Who are these people? David frowned slightly, not understanding who these people suddenly broke in. He could feel that these were not from the Ning family, and it was impossible for Ning Ji to dispatch people from the Ning family in Kyoto in such a short time. What's more, Ning Ji's Peak Wuzong is not his opponent. How could he send these weaker people to die? David slowly got up and walked outside the tower. At this time, Luoju was also leading people towards the Demon Town Pagoda. Ninth brother, why did this Gu family manor suddenly look like this? I noticed that the powder on the ground should be the previous buildings, which were directly shaken by the energy. What kind of terrifying strength is this, able to destroy such a large manor like this? Look at that tower, it still stands intact. I guess there must be something strange about that tower. Several servants of the Luo family said, very puzzled. Luoju glanced at a few people and said, if you don't want to die, just close your mouth. Luoju's words made several people shut their mouths in fright. Soon, Luoju and several others arrived under the demon suppression tower, and Luoju saw a figure under the demon suppression tower from a distance. And David also found them, and then his eyes fell on Na Luoju. Luoju approached and found that David was standing under the tower, and couldn't help but be slightly taken aback, but Luoju pretended not to know David, and then asked, "Who are you?" David said lightly, "I am the owner of this manor." "You broke into my manor privately, what are you doing here?" "You are the owner of this manor." Luoju suddenly sneered, "This manor belongs to the Gu family. Now Gu Kaiwan is dead. Because Gu Kaiwan owed us money from the Luo family in the past, we are here to take over his assets." "Are you from the Gu family?" David shook his head, "I'm not from the Gu family, but now this manor is no longer named Gu, you should leave quickly." "Boy, you are too crazy. No one dares to refuse what our Luo family wants." At this time, a servant of the Luo family shouted at David angrily. David just glanced at the man coldly. "I said, this is my territory now, I don't care what your Luo family is or not, if you don't want to die, get out." "You!" Several servants of the Luo family were immediately angry and wanted to do something to David. It was only stopped by Luoju. These servants of the Luo family didn't know David, but Luoju knew it. Now they have a conflict with David, I'm afraid there is no chance of winning. "We are from the Mobei Luo family. Our young master ranks 5th on the free and easy list. I hope you..." Luoju wanted to use Luo Xiang to threaten David, but he was interrupted directly by David before he finished speaking. "I said, I don't care about your Luo family, the dog family, if you don't want to die, get out." Chapter 1145. Damn, kid, you are courting death. The servant of the Luo family who spoke at the beginning suddenly clenched his fists. Snapped. The servant of the Luo family had just finished speaking when a figure flashed by, and then the servant of the Luo family flew out instantly. This slap directly caused the servant of the Luo family to fall heavily to the ground, spitting blood. All of a sudden, everyone's faces were shocked, especially the several servants of the Luo family who had just shouted. Their faces were pale and they dared not speak. Being able to slap a Wuzong with a single slap shows that his strength is by no means ordinary. "David, do you want to be an enemy of my Luo family?" Luoju frowned when he saw that David started without warning. David was slightly taken aback. "You know me?" Luoju knew in an instant that he had missed something, and immediately put on a smiley face and said, "The martial arts forum is full of your name, how could you not know it? In fact, our eldest young master appreciates you, those guys in the martial arts alliance, but they are all it's just to make a name for yourself." David looked at Luoju coldly. He would not be confused by Luoju's words. This guy pretended not to know him at first, but now he has leaked his words again, there must be some intention in his heart. "I don't care if you know me or not, you all leave now, otherwise don't blame me for being rude." David would not follow Luoju Dao. Seeing David like this, Luoju could only nod his head and said, "Well, since this is your territory, we won't bother, we'll leave right away." Luoju led people away quickly. Although Luoju was gone, David's heart was still not at ease. He knew that these people from the Luo family came suddenly and would not let go easily. It is very likely that they also knew the secret of this town magic tower. Otherwise, this Gu family manor is not even a ruin. What is the use of the manor? It was clearly aimed at the Demon Town Tower. David didn't return to the tower to practice, but instantly pinched the magic formula, and the spiritual energy swarmed out from the magic tower. He had to set up a formation around the demon suppression tower to block those who entered the tower, so that he could practice with peace of mind. Soon, a killing formation containing killing energy was successfully arranged. As long as you enter a distance of tens of meters from the town demon tower, this killing formation will start, and the killing energy contained in it will smash the intruders to pieces. After arranging the killing formation, David walked into the demon suppression pagoda to practice with peace of mind. At this time, Luoju was leading someone to guard not far away, and notified Luo Xiang. "Ninth brother, how powerful is David? Can't we beat him together? Why don't we invite the eldest young master?" A servant of the Luo family asked in confusion. Luoju glanced at the man and said, "This David killed Guo Wei, the director of the Kyoto Martial Arts Alliance, that Guo Wei was the peak of Wuzong, and the Ning Ji of the Ning family was also injured by this David. What is their strength? Isn't one better than us? If we follow David, we might all die here. When we come, the eldest young master will explain that we can't provoke that David. Just think of a way to keep him first." At this time, the talent from the Luo family suddenly realized, so this David is so powerful. Luoju looked at his watch, then put his eyes on the demon suppression tower, and sneered in his heart, "When the eldest young master comes, I'll see how you can escape." Inside the demon suppression tower, David was cultivating with great concentration. The heart concentrate art is spinning rapidly, and the aura in the Demon Town Tower is rapidly approaching David. Because of the strength of the heart concentration technique, the entire demon suppression pagoda began to tremble slightly, as if it couldn't bear David's crazy absorption. Outside the demon suppression tower, Luoju looked at the shaking demon suppression tower with incredible expressions in his eyes. Chapter 1146. It's good and there is no earthquake. Why is this tower shaking? Luoju frowned. "Ninth brother, could it be that David is sabotaging and wants to demolish this tower?" A servant of the Luo family whispered. When Luoju heard this, her expression changed instantly. Luo Xiang sent him here to guard this tower. If David demolished it, Luo Xiang would definitely not forgive himself after he came. "Come on, let's go and see." Luoju hurriedly led people towards the Demon Town Pagoda. Soon, when they were tens of meters away from the Demon Town Tower, a servant of the Luo family who suddenly walked to the front screamed. Immediately after, a few people saw a dense mass of killing energy suddenly appear in the air, and these killing auras roamed continuously, covering the entire town magic tower. And the screaming servant of the Luo family just now was harvested by the killing energy, and his body instantly turned into pieces of minced meat, and his death was very tragic. Looking at the scene in front of him, someone couldn't control it and spit it out. Luoju's expression was also extremely ugly. He didn't expect David to set up a killing formation around the Demon Town Tower. "Osh, T." Luoju cursed, and could only lead people back and wait by the side, waiting for Luo Xiang to come and make plans. Luoju didn't dare to test the killing formation. About 5 hours later, when it was completely dark, Luo Xiang arrived at Zishuan. "Master." Seeing Luo Xiang coming, Luoju hurriedly brought someone up to meet him. "Where is David?" Luo Xiang asked. "Eldest young master, then David is in this tower, and he has set up a killing array around," Luoju said with the corpse of the servant of the Luo family who was stirred to death by the killing formation on the ground. Looking at the appalling corpse on the ground, Luo Xiang's expression changed slightly. He didn't expect that David actually knew how to arrange a killing formation. Moreover, the power of the killing formation is still so huge. It must be known that the minimum strength of these people is Wuzong, and they can be easily killed by the killing formation. It can be seen that the killing formation is very powerful. It would take a long time to set up such a powerful killing formation, even for a true master of magic. Luo Xiang did not expect David to set up such a large killing formation in just a few hours. Luo Xiang slowly stepped forward, and then slowly extended his hand towards the void. "Master, be careful!" Luo Zhu hurriedly reminded Luo Xiang. Luo Xiang did not speak, but continued to extend his hand forward. When Luo Xiang's hand touched the killing formation suddenly started, and I saw that under the moonlight, one after another flashing killing energy began to attack Luo Xiang. Luo Xiang hurriedly retracted his outstretched hand. Even though Luo Xiang was mentally prepared, there were still tiny wounds on his hand. Luo Xiang looked at his wound with a solemn expression on his face. This killing energy is really powerful enough. You all stand back. Luo Xiang exhorted and asked Luo Zhu to lead the people back. Immediately afterwards, Luo Xiang clenched his fists slightly, and then the strength of Marquis Wu began to condense after half a step, and then he punched the void in front of him. Rumbling. The punch smashed into the void in front of him, but there was an instant ripple in the air. And the killing formation began to appear under this punch. The huge movement caused David, who was practicing, to wake up instantly. He could feel that the killing formation he arranged was being violently destroyed. David got up in a hurry, and when he walked out of the town magic tower, he saw a man under the moonlight, throwing his fist towards his killing formation. Every punch contained the power to destroy the sky and the earth, and the killing formation that was arranged began to weaken under this violent blow. "Master, that's David." Seeing David coming out, Luo Zhu said hurriedly. Chapter 1147. Luo Xiang stopped, then looked at David in front of him. Although the two were separated by a few meters, Luo Xiang could not get close to David because of the killing formation. David looked at Luo Xiang looked at David. The two looked at each other like this for more than 10 minutes. "Sure enough, you are young and promising. No wonder many people say that your strength is completely better than mine." Luo Xiang suddenly grinned. "I don't know you, why did you break into my killing circle?" David asked Luo Xiang. "You don't need to know me, it's enough for me to know you. I didn't expect that an ordinary-looking guy could kill Guo Wei." After Luo Xiang finished speaking, in front of David, he slammed another punch on the killing formation. Luo Xiang's punch was even more powerful. Many of the killing power in the killing formation began to crumble under this huge attack. David's face became a little ugly. The strength of Luo Xiang in front of him seems to be higher than that of Guo Wei. If David faced Luo Xiang alone, even if David was not sure of winning, it would not be difficult to escape. But behind Luo Xiang, there are several Wuzong eyeing. David fights with these people alone, the chance of winning is almost zero, and it is even difficult to escape. Boom! Luo Xiang struck again with another punch, and the killing formation began to crumble. David knew that with Luo Xiang's strength, it was only a matter of time before this killing formation was destroyed. Without any hesitation, David turned his head and returned to the Demon Town Tower. Listening to Luo Xiang's punches outside, David couldn't calm down and practice. Looking at the Demon Tower, David fell into deep thought. This Devil Town Tower seems to be a magic weapon, but who would refine such a huge magic weapon? Otherwise, the Devil Town Tower can be big or small, or there are other things running in the Devil Town Tower, and this Devil Town Tower is just a carrier. Thinking of this, David began to look for it layer by layer in the Town Demon Tower. But every floor is empty, and there is nothing to be found at all. Listening to the outside, Luo Xiang's strength is getting stronger every time. David knows that the killing formation won't last long. If Luo Xiang broke through the killing formation, David would only have the chance to escape, and the Demon Suppression Tower would be occupied. Just when David was anxious, David's eyes suddenly lit up, and he thought of a way. Since there is aura in this town magic tower, he can feel where those auras come from. In this way, we may be able to find the secret of the operation of the Demon Town Tower. Thinking of this, David immediately held his breath, and then exuded divine consciousness, feeling the aura in the Demon Suppression Tower. David's consciousness, following the aura in the tower, gradually reached the top of the tower. On the top of the tower is just a room of dozens of square meters. After David felt the aura coming from the top of the tower, he quickly got up and walked towards the top of the tower. When David reached the top of the tower, he found that there was nothing on the top of the tower, and he could see the entire top of the tower at a glance. David has come up several times. If there is something on the top of the tower, David would have discovered it long ago. This is strange, obviously those auras are emitted from the top of the tower. David frowned and carefully inspected the top of the tower. Could it be? David suddenly thought of something. Then he closed his eyes slightly, and the whole person's consciousness was instantly detached, and then it was as if he had entered the void. When David opened his eyes again, this time he found that there was a copper door in front of him. It is as expected. David was overjoyed and hurriedly reached out to push it, but found that he couldn't open the copper door in front of him. Seeing that he couldn't push it away, David clenched his fist, golden light flashed above his fist, and then he punched out. Boom! This punch caused the entire tower to shake, but the copper door in front of him remained unmoved. Chapter 1148. Is this taboo again? David remembered that he was in the Devil Town Tower at first, but he couldn't open the door if he wanted to go out. Come again! David smashed out another punch, and the sound was deafening. Seeing this, Luo Xiang, who was outside the Demon Town Tower, couldn't help but change his expression. What is this guy doing inside? It's like tearing down a house. Eldest young master, this David is afraid that he will destroy the Demon Suppression Tower in it. He can't get it, and he doesn't want us to get it. Luo Ju said. When Luo Xiang heard this, his hand suddenly increased his strength and speed. He wanted to rush in to stop David from destroying it. And David threw a few punches in a row, and the bronze door in front of him was still the same as before, as if it had not been moved. What has actually happened? David frowned, then looked at his fist. Does this also require Shengguang fist? David put away his spiritual power, then took a deep breath. The muscles on his body swelled, and he would use pure body power to open the copper door. Holy Light Fist! David's forehead burst with blue veins, and then relying on the strength of muscle contraction, he punched the copper door. Squeak! Under David's punch, the bronze door began to move slowly. Seeing the copper door open, David was overjoyed. Soon, a dim light flickered from the room, and a pure and strange aura rushed towards him. Feeling this breath, David quickly walked in. The whole room was dark, and David seemed to be in the void, with only a little flickering light in front of him. David walked towards the light, and soon a miniature version of the town demon tower appeared in front of David. This town magic tower is only more than 20 centimeters high, and a gem is inlaid on the top of the tower, and this flashing light comes from this gem. Above the tower, there is a simple atmosphere, which makes David feel very comfortable. Sure enough, this is the real essence of the Demon Suppression Tower. This is the real Demon Suppression Tower. David's face was full of excitement when he saw the Demon Tower in front of him. Just when David stretched out his hand and wanted to take the Demon Town Tower in his hand, the surroundings suddenly became extremely bright. An old man with a childish face and a crutch in his hand was glaring at David. Humph, you just let that demon venerable go, but you still want to take away the old man's Demon Suppression Tower. The old man's voice is loud and majestic. When David saw the old man, he immediately looked respectful and said politely, "Senior, I didn't know that this Demon Town Tower was yours. I didn't mean to offend, and I ask my senior to forgive me." "It's okay for me to forgive you, you have to defeat me first." The old man said it, the faucet in his hand smashed towards David instantly. The terrifying momentum suddenly shocked David to retreat. "Senior, I don't want this tower, I'll leave now." David knew that he was no match for the old man in front of him. This old man looks like a master, and his realm is many times higher than David. "I said, if you want to leave, you must beat me first." The old man slammed around again. David hurriedly ducked aside and muttered, "At such an old age, he still has such a violent temper." The old man ignored David, but a series of attacks made David dodge again and again. In a blink of an eye, the old man attacked more than a dozen moves in a row, all of which were dodged by David. This time, David had confidence in his heart. "It seems that you are not as strong as you imagined. Since you keep forcing me, I will fight with you." After finishing speaking, David's body was golden, and the power of the dragon broke out. A golden dragon sprang out of David's body and surrounded David's body. "Son of the dragon, it's really good." The old man suddenly raised the corner of his mouth, and then the faucet in his hand jabbed fiercely on the ground. A dragon roar sounded, and the old man's dragon head crutch turned into a giant dragon. Chapter 1149. When David saw this, he felt very surprised. This was the second time he heard someone mention the three words "son of the dragon." And the golden dragon that he is now surrounded by, David can't control it at all. He also never knew when this golden dragon would appear. "Is your father a dragon?" Suddenly, a ridiculous idea popped up in David's mind. When he was on Suolong Island, the fierce flame dragon willingly spit out dragon crystals for himself after encountering him. Is it because he has dragon blood in his body? "Senior, can you tell me, what is the son of the dragon? Am I the son of the dragon?" David asked the old man eagerly. At that time, he wanted to ask the old man who was trapped in the demon suppression tower, but who knew that the guy ran away without saying anything. Now David has encountered another person who said the son of the dragon, he can't let it go, he must ask clearly. The old man smiled lightly, "When you should know, you will definitely know, now you first think about how to beat me." After that, the old man waved his hand, and the giant dragon rose into the air. The golden dragon on David also uttered a dragon roar, and immediately rose into the air. The two dragons tussled in an instant. David's eyes widened, looking at everything in front of him in disbelief. Because the scene of these two dragons fighting is too shocking. Even if his current strength can kill the existence of the Peak of Wuzong, in front of these two dragons, he seems so small and insignificant. Any dragon can shoot himself to death with one paw. The golden dragon rushing out of David's body exudes golden light, and every scale flashes with light, just like David's indestructible golden body, the scales attached to his body. The golden dragon let out a roar, and then both claws came out, grabbing the old man's giant dragon directly, and pressing it firmly on the ground. In the blink of an eye, the giant dragon turned back into a dragon-headed crutch and returned to the old man's hand. And the golden dragon also hovered above David's head, and finally returned to David's body in an instant. Although the old man was defeated, he was not angry, but had a smile on his face. The road to immortality is long and arduous. In the future, the three realms may be guarded by you young generation. I will give you this Demon Town Tower. I hope you can take it one day to eliminate demons and protect the common people. The bloodthirsty aura on your body is too heavy, and it is easy to go astray. I have a set of heart-clearing spells here, I hope it will be useful to you." After the old man finished speaking, he waved his palm lightly. A gentle force instantly enveloped David, and then the heart-clearing mantra appeared in David's mind. David was very surprised. He didn't understand why the old man helped him and gave him a heart-clearing spell. But just when he wanted to ask, he found that the old man had disappeared. David looked around, but still couldn't find the shadow of the old man, and finally put his eyes on the body of the town magic tower. David stretched out his hand to pick up the demon suppression tower, and the moment he picked up the demon suppression tower, his eyes suddenly darkened. When David opened his eyes, he found himself on the top floor of the tower. The whole person fell to the ground, as if he had a long dream, and on his right hand, the town magic tower quietly placed on the ground on. David slowly got up with the suppression tower, when a rumbling sound began to sound outside. Immediately afterwards, the entire tower trembled, and David knew that the killing formation had been broken. Put the demon suppression tower into the storage ring, and then quickly ran down the tower. As soon as he ran out of the demon suppression tower, he ran into Luo Xiang, who had already broken the killing formation. "Are you trying to run?" Luo Xiang looked at David coldly. "This place is given to you, I won't earn it from you." David lowered his stance. At this time, it would be better for him not to conflict with Luo Xiang. Chapter 1150. He knew that Luo Xiang came to the town demon tower. The current devil suppression tower is just an ordinary tower. The real devil suppression tower is already in the storage ring, so there is no need for David to stay. "I want more than this tower." Luo Xiang's eyes flashed with greed. "I know you still have a lot of treasures on your body. If you hand them all over, I can consider letting you go." David frowned. It turned out that Luo Xiang was not only here for the demon suppression tower, but also for his own treasure. Looking around, David knew that it would not be easy to escape head-on. And now the demon town tower behind him has become an ordinary tower, and the restrictions inside have disappeared, so he can rush out from other directions. Thinking of this, David's body quickly retreated to the demon suppression tower, and then threw a punch at a wall. Rumbling. A big hole was smashed out in an instant. David hurried out, and then condensed his spiritual power on the soles of his feet, and quickly fled. "Follow." Luo Xiang didn't expect David to come out through the wall, so he led someone hurriedly into the town demon tower, and then chased after David. But just when Luo Xiang and the others entered the demon town tower, the demon town tower suddenly began to collapse. The bricks and rubble kept falling, and the dust flew up, directly burying Luo Xiang and the others inside. Listening to the voice behind him, David turned his head to look at the collapsed demon tower, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help but raise slightly. Immediately afterwards, David's figure quickly disappeared without a trace. "Whoa, whoa!" Soon, several figures emerged from the rubble. These people are at least the strength of Wuzong, so these collapsed bricks can't hurt them at all. It's just that a few people are disgraced and look very embarrassed. Luo Xiang looked around and found that David had long since disappeared. "Master!" Luo Zhu looked at Luo Xiang with a gloomy face and called out softly. "No matter where this David escapes, I must catch him." Luo Xiang's eyes flashed fiercely. After David escaped, he flew non-stop to go back to Kyoto. Just when he was at the airport, Zhao Liguo suddenly called David. After receiving a call from Zhao Liguo, David thought there was something wrong with Shadowless Villa. "Palace Master, you must not go back to the capital during this time. Now many sect families are eagerly looking for you." Zhao Liguo said anxiously. "Looking for me? What are you looking for? Was it assigned by the Martial Arts Alliance to deal with me?" David frowned and asked. He killed Guo Wei, and Zhu Zishan must be furious, and he may use his status as the leader of the Martial Arts Alliance to force other sect families to attack him. "No, it doesn't matter if you follow the Martial Arts Alliance, you can see it by looking at the Martial Arts Forum," Zhao Liguo said. David hung up the phone, then opened the Martial Arts Forum, and soon a sticky message popped up. It was Ning Ji who posted it anonymously, telling that David possesses the power of the dragon and the fusion of Long Jing. Seeing this, David's face became more and more gloomy. He knew that this information must be sent by Ning Ji, because only Ning Ji and Gu Kaiwan knew the secret of Long Jing in his body. Gu Kaiwan is dead, of course he will not be posting. It seems that Ning Ji was defeated in his own hands and was very unwilling, so he broke the news so that everyone's sect family could follow him as an enemy. After all, the temptation of this dragon's power is great. It seems that Kyoto can't go back for the time being. David frowned, returned the ticket in his hand, and bought a new ticket to Horrendal. He had to go back to Horrendal first, and then choose a suitable place to hide.